In my speech, I will propose a solution to the problem that there are not enough resources to give special ed students the best education possible. Everyone deserves a right to receive the best education possible. Special education students are not receiving the best education possible because of a lack of resources provided to them. Being a teacher in special education, I see this happen every day, and I also see how many little sources are put forth for these children when general education students are receiving constant resources in their classroom. In this speech, I will talk about how special education students do not have enough resources and ways to solve this problem. I will explain how special education services benefit students, how they are at a disadvantage, and offer solutions to gather more resources to give them a better education. For this speech, special education defines any child as someone who has a disability such as autism, ADHD, or any other learning disorder or behavior disorder. General education will refer to a classroom with children without a disability. Inclusion is when special education students spend some time in a classroom with general education. Special needs students have always been put second to general education classrooms, and expenses have not used accordingly. According to NCES, only since 1975 has the IDEA mandated that eligible students ages 3 to 21 must receive a free education that is appropriate. Meanwhile, in 1920, free education was mandated for general education students. Special needs students also have to pay for at-home ABA, speech therapy, medicine, and all these other things that a normal child does not. With at-home technology, students would be able to improve their education and continue learning at home with their parents so they can not fall behind. Individualized school districts and states do not put in as much effort as they can to help these students get the resources. According to educationweek.com, in fiscal year 2018, the federal government earmarked $12.3 billion for the education of children ages 3 to 12 with disabilities. This is only 15% of the excess cost of educating students with disabilities compared with the cost of educating a general education student. Under the 1975 Individuals with Disabilities Act, states can pay up to 40% of the excess cost, but it has never reached that, so why don't they put the money forward? According to Sutherland Institute, they say, we need to do a better job of understanding the gifts and challenges of various communities, implementing better resources in public schools, and increasing access to outside services when needed. This is showing that these students do need the outside resources, and they're not being provided for them, and that the schools are not doing as much as they possibly could. By receiving altered forms of education more suited to their needs, it allows for students to work on their individualized education plans, which are also known as IEPs. Using some of the government money allowed, technology could be placed into the classrooms of these students to allow them to learn in different ways. According to the University of Texas, the purpose of technology is to allow students to learn without barriers. This could be apps, computers, tablets, communication boards, tablet devices, and a lot more technology-based resources. Just like general education students, special education students learn in many different ways. They can be visual learners, demonstration, interactive, and auditory. And since general education students constantly have access to laptops in their classroom, guest presenters, and they have after-school activities, during-school activities, and field trips, these are not provided to special ed classrooms because they think the children will not be able to participate because their disability would affect them participating to their full potential. When I went to go access DonorsChoose.com, which is a website used by teachers to raise money for things they might need for their classrooms, such as spinny chairs for children who can't sit still, tablets if they don't have any, I noticed that many of the requests are for special needs classrooms. This shows they don't receive as big as a fund as general education classrooms, or else they wouldn't be having to raise their own money. Other students need the technology to succeed in the classroom. Nonverbal students need communication devices and programs such as NovaChat to communicate with people so they can know their wants and needs. NovaChat has little apps when you log in, and it has pictures and words, and the student can create a sentence to say that he is hungry or he needs the bathroom. These should be provided in classroom for every student that needs them. The parent should not have to pay. Interactive learners and those with things such as ADHD and autism might only interact if they're interested in the subject. For example, if the student only likes dinosaurs, he might only count if he can count dinosaurs. And there are so many apps that he would be able to do that on a tablet. There are many solutions to this problem that could help in just the smallest way to make a difference. If we provide technology resources to students in the classroom, then they will be able to learn at home and have everything access to them. We cannot treat them the same since they also have to pay for high medical bills, treatments, and at-home care to pay for, and expect them to be able to come up with the money for their own tablets at home. Computers for each student would allow for the students to continue the work at home and not fall behind, so they will be able to progressively move through each grade as would any other student. Another possible solution could be to staff the special education classrooms with more teachers and assistants. This would allow for more one-on-one time to focus on children's IEPs or work in small groups when it was figured out which ones are related in context on their IEP and goals. We would also be able to chart students' progress more and see their improvements over the year so we know what to focus on next. And students could also spend half the time in special ed and half the time in inclusion to get to interact with other children so they don't feel like they are different from anyone else. In conclusion, there are things that we can do, then should do, to provide more resources to special education students. We have looked at how they are treated differently and solutions to the problem. I have also reviewed how special education students are at a disadvantage, how special education services could benefit students, and resources to provide this better education. I hope you have learned about the ways these children are at a disadvantage and will think about the small changes that could help them.